Rotary certainly has some membership challenges. However, there are people who are thinking creatively and seeing membership growth. We're going to talk to these inventive Rotarians and get some tips that you can try. Welcome to the Innovative Clubs videocast. Hey, this is Andy Van Hook, ARC in Zone 33, and I'm here today with Sue Carter. She is the District Membership Chair-elect for District 7600, and she is a member of the Rotary Club of Farmville, Virginia. And she's got a great story on new membership ideas, new club ideas, and we want to talk to her a little bit today. Hi, Sue. How are you?
Hi, Andy. I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for jumping on this chat with me.
Thank you so much
So
for having
yeah, gladly. So to kick it off, why don't you start off by maybe talking about some of the challenges that you all were seeing and then how you adapted to overcome those challenges?
Certainly. So our district 7600 is made up of variety and diversity of clubs. We have clubs that are large in number and are in very urban areas, and then we have clubs that are limited in numbers of members in the clubs, and they're in extremely rural areas. So I joined Rotary Club of Farmville in 2013, and when I joined that club, by that time it was probably 85, 84 years old. The club composition was mostly older crowd and mostly white men. And so even though the crowd was exceptionally welcoming and doing great service and wonderful things both for our community and the world, we had difficulty recruiting members that were looking or acting differently. So we had a difficulty recruiting diverse group of members because, as you know, Andy, everybody wants to be with somebody that looks and acts like them. So, and that was not just particularly unique to Farmville Club. It was unique. It was a case in many other clubs in the district. So our district, starting in 2016, 2017, decided to start kind of playing with and experimenting with different types of clubs and memberships. And you started to see in that time period a lot of satellite clubs pop up. So right before I was to take on my year as the president, which was 2018-19, I met with my predecessor, President John Miller, Rotary year of 2017-2018, and we were discussing whether we should start a satellite club in Farmville. And just to give you a little background on Farmville, we have two higher ed institutions here. We have Hampton-Sydney College and Longwood University, and as you might know, both higher ed institutions attract pretty diverse group of people, as well as young professionals. Now that's great and fantastic for the community, but these young professionals are not able to join traditional clubs, the legacy clubs, if you will, because, you know, our club meets on Thursdays at noon for about an hour and a half, and we have very traditional lunch, and it's also costly. So young professionals were giving us feedback that, hey, these are the reasons why we're not joining your club. We're not able to take off an hour and a half from work every single Thursday, and we can't afford your dues. So we thought, okay, well, maybe we can charter a satellite club. When we presented that idea to our traditional club, to our legacy club, they were very hesitant because they really thought that the satellite club will cannibalize the lunch crowd. That majority of the lunch crowd will move to this new version of Rotary Club Farmville. So we really tossed that idea back and forth and thought, you know what, there's no such thing as Rotary Police. Nobody's going to come after us for this. So why don't we just try something completely different, outside of the box, something that we didn't approve with the district, something that we just wanted to see if it will work for us. So we started what we call alternative meeting time. So for all of our members, we offer 2 meeting times. You could come in at 12 o'clock and have a very traditional crowd lunch served, you know, Pledge of Allegiance, blessing, a 4-way test, Rotary Minute, speaker, and all 9 yards of that. Or you could come in at 5:30 to a happy hour and enjoy a little less formal meeting, if you will. members of both crowds are still members of Rotary Club of Farmville. So we do not have two different clubs. We simply have one club and two alternative meeting times. What we've learned from this, and obviously it's still going on, and so therefore it has been successful. One of the things that we learned is that not only did it not cannibalize the lunch crowd, it grew the lunch crowd, because many young professionals have joined in as a happy hour crowd member, and then they decided to just visit with the lunch crowd, and they decided that the lunch crowd was for them. So in the first year, we grew by 20%, and that is a huge growth for a club of our size. And since then we have kind of leveled off, and at about 15% growth comparatively speaking this year to the year that we actually opened up the alternative meeting time. But it has just really worked, because even if some Rotarians like myself often attend both meetings. So I would attend lunch meeting because I wanted to see the lunch crowd, or I wanted to have, we often have this joke, like, I'll decide whether I want to come to lunch depending on what's on the menu. And then I really wanted to see the rest of the crowd as well, or there is a different speaker, or, or I just wanted to have a beer, or something with the rest of my folks. And so I'll go to the happy hour. So that's kind of a history, very brief overview. You're welcome to ask me some more questions about how we manage our board, or anything that might come to mind that I'm not sharing right now.
Oh, sure. That's a great story. And, it just goes to show that that being innovative can really help with the membership for individual clubs and districts. So in that space, who did you see coming to the happy hour? Why don't you talk a little bit about more who that crowd was? I know you mentioned it was young professionals. Why don't you talk a little bit more about who the crowd is that's coming to the happy hour, and why that might have been a good entry point for them to learn more about Rotary?
So the original crowd was definitely a young professional crowd. So they were mostly individuals who have either recently come to the area, or individuals who have worked at Hampton-Sydney College or Longwood University for a long period of time, and they've known about Rotary, but they just could not join for those reasons that I mentioned earlier. However, as this beast developed, we've learned that the happy hour crowd really attracts a variety of people. And it attracts some of the most active individuals in the community that are just simply not able to commit themselves during work hours. Some teachers, a lot of faculty members, even some retired people who just would rather not, come to town in the middle of the day, and they would rather just, come in the afternoon. And we've actually really developed some leaders. So our president-elect for this year, so president-elect, the president of our club coming up on July 1st, and her two successors. So president-elect, president nominee, and our president nominee designate. So three presidents in a row are coming from our happy hour club. Not only that, we've noticed that once we've opened it to the happy hour crowd and really diversified our club, our district engagement really started to grow. So we started to go to district conferences. We went to district assembly. We were not at all sorry to go to PETS, and we didn't dread it or anything like that. It was very fun and enjoyable. We started to engage more into the international community as well. So our happy hour crowd hosted a speaker, a Rotarian from Prince George, Virginia, who went to Ghana on a trip, on a global grant trip. And before you know it, my club decided we were going to do a global grant. And so I went to Ghana the following October. So, I think that diversifying the club in that kind of creative and innovative way has really opened up opportunities for us to engage more, not just in our local community, but also in our world, and outside of it, outside of the community, of course. And additionally, we've learned a whole lot more about our own community. So the individuals that have come in are, parents, they're teachers, they're social workers, and they have a very different worldview than, what our legacy club has traditionally attracted.
Excellent. That's great. So would you say, as far as maybe the community impact, how do you feel, I think Rotary has has a image in every community that they're in and that they serve. And as a Rotarian, I'm biased. However, I do think it tends to be a positive image. However, on top of that, there are some, in a lot of communities, there are some kind of stigmas that go along with it, or or generalities, or whatever you want to call it, that go along with that. I think. Say again.
Stereotypes.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. I couldn't even get the word. That was exactly what I was going for. Stereotypes. Do you think that this alternate meeting time, or this other meeting time, has given you the opportunity to somewhat change that perception of what Rotary is in your community? And if so, how so?
I think so. I think it changed the perception, not just amongst the members or potential members, but also amongst the community in general. And so I think I'll focus kind of on 2 points here to I guess exemplify that. So one is, we've become more fun. So more fun means more engaging, and more engaging means more members means more service. So by doing things like having fun social times, which are not, when I say happy hour crowd, people often think alcohol, but our socials are very versatile. I mean, we've had socials, everything from a poker night social or casino night social to a family friendly picnic out on a lake. So we've done, with the introduction of that happy hour crowd, we've really have upped our attempts to socialize more, because there's that kind of divide between the lunch crowd and the happy hour crowds, because there is still a few Rotarians who just come to lunch, and a few Rotarians who just come to happy hour. And so they don't interact. And that's why we've decided to put these socials together. And when we do put socials together, it's just amazing, because, we've been in the same club together, and you see individuals coming together like family. So that's the first way. And, we've seen this kind of measured, and we have more participation from other organizations like Chamber of Commerce. Our Rotaract is more active. We've partnered up with many individual causes at Longwood and Hampton Sydney. So you really do see the impact that the happy hour crowd has contributed to our community, to an already very well established Rotary Club. Our Rotary Club, the Legacy Club, we've had this huge event, which is the best event ever. And, we put it up every single January, and it's called Taste of Farmville. And so Taste of Farmville is what Rotary in Farmville is known for. It's a very traditional event. We have a lot of restaurants, caterers, everybody knows what to expect. They come in, they give out samples. We have a really great time, door prizes, all that kind of stuff. So that has been our signature event. But then since the happy hour brought on, we've also expanded our reach. So we still continue to do very traditional and legacy things like Taste of Farmville and the pancake breakfast and supporting our partner organizations. But we've also done a global grant. We have built a ramp on a state park for individuals with disabilities to be able to get in and out of a kayak. So, and so we've done a Rotary run for, to benefit individuals, seniors, high school seniors who are not able to afford applying for the college. So the happy hour crowd has really come up with some brand new and creative ideas. And, it's not because the lunch crowd has done anything wrong. It's just that more people, more diverse people, it just simply means more ideas. And so all of those ideas were greatly accepted by the lunch crowd. And so, you know, they're all joint. We all do it together, and it's just been a fantastic impact in our community and the world, obviously.
That's great. So you know, you've talked a lot about, excuse me, the traditional club, the lunch, excuse me, how they initially were really standoffish about the idea of a satellite club, and it sounds like that they've really embraced this happy hour option, and having some new ideas and new people brought into the club and organization. Um, Talk a little bit about how what you've seen and how you've seen kind of that traditional lunch club shift. How have they changed? How have they, you know, what has been the, you know, how have you moved that needle a little bit as far as they went from, no, we're not ever going to do something like a satellite club, to where this is much more acceptable. They're open to new ideas and they're doing different things now, and actually probably having a bigger impact in the community and in the world.
Yeah. So, so one thing I will correct you on is we always say lunch crowd or happy hour crowd because we're the same club. So we can't say lunch club or happy hour club. We are
Yeah,
the same club.
totally. That is totally my fault. So my
No problem.
apologies for that. Yes, the
No problem.
one club with two meeting times.
Absolutely. So we're very peculiar about that, as you can tell. But so we have the we really have done this very strategically and deliberately, that when we rolled out the program. So the program, you know, the idea was rolled out as a satellite club. And I wouldn't say that the legacy club members were standoffish, but they were very concerned. And so, you know, they simply did not want to see the community suffer, because Rotary has turned into, you know, our club has turned into something that is for social and recreational, you know, meetings only. And so for first thing that we did is we decided to meet them halfway. So, you know, instead of saying, okay, well, you know, we had two choices at that time. We could have no additional club. We could offer nothing additional, right? We could just stay a legacy club, or we could charter a satellite club. So, you know, more we talked about it, more we realized that why limit ourselves to those two options? Like we don't have to limit ourselves to just two options. The third option was, we are going to continue to have one Rotary Club of Farmville. It's not going to be a Rotary Club of Farmville satellite or anything like that. We're going to continue to have one club, and we're just going to try this for a year. So it was literally a pilot program for a year. And we said, you know, if we see that this is not succeeding, if people are not taking it seriously, and if you know, if we see any kind of divide between the lunch crowd and the happy hour crowd, we're just going to stop it. Because what we really wanted to do is, we wanted to improve the community with this, and, you know, put our own desires aside. So, and then another thing that we've done very deliberately is we have diversified our board. So as soon as the pilot program began, we immediately appointed one of the individuals from the happy hour crowd onto our board as the representative. Then, you know, just very quickly, all of a sudden, the membership chair decided he was also going to join the happy hour crowd. So he decided to, and mostly he mostly stayed with the happy hour, but then went to lunches every once in a while. Our PR chair, or our current PR chair, is very talented individual who works for a PR company, so she was a natural pick for our next PR. So, you know, we've diversified. And so right now on the board, if you're a member of our Rotary Club of Farmville board, if you're sitting around the table, it would really be difficult to designate any of the board members, whether they're a lunch crowd or happy hour crowd, because you're likely to see them at both. And they're so involved. And so, you know, and then when we bring on a new member, we tell them that they are absolutely, you know, a member of Rotary Club of Farmville, and that they need to be as familiar with the lunch crowd as they are with the happy hour crowd. We have socials that bring us together. And then I think what really, really helped is that we had, in that first year with the 20% growth, we had probably 5 people come to lunch crowd and join the lunch crowd through the happy hour. So they came to, they joined because of the happy hour, and then they attended the lunch crowd, and they were like, oh my gosh, this is better for me. This works out in a much better way. So, we were very deliberate and strategic about it is a very short answer to that question.
Well, that's great. I mean, you have to have a plan, and and you have to work a plan, right? And you can't just go into something like that, willy-nilly. You can figure out your way along as you're doing the project, and you're working on it. However, you really need to have an idea of what you're trying to do and where you're trying to go. And that's really awesome that you guys have been able to do that and seen that kind of growth. What type of suggestions would you have to other club leadership that may be struggling with membership, or you know may just be looking for some new ideas? What advice would you give them?
Well, I would say, whenever you're presented with two options, think of a third one. And I think that this came, this idea probably is not too original. I'm pretty certain it's not too original. I think I often encounter this kind of a dilemma in my workplace. And so anytime I'm forced to make a choice between two options, I always try to find a third one. And so I think that, applying that to membership here, you can see how successful that was. And we had to be very creative and innovative. And we also had to be brave. I mean, we didn't know whether what we were doing was going to cause problems on the district level or Rotary International level. But nobody cared, and everybody was really happy about it. So we just had to be brave, innovative, and creative, but ultimately think about what is best for your community. And there's so much that goes into measuring what kind of club you should be, what kind of membership you should offer, but ultimately it comes down to what is best for your community. We're in Farmville, again, two higher ed institutions. I don't think any other small town can say that they have two other institutions. So we are very unique, and happy hour, alternative meeting time worked for us perfectly. But there are so many other options. It may not work for other clubs. Satellite club might be an option. Also, in my area, we have a club. Well, right outside of my area, we have a club, Prince George County. They have like 6 different kinds of memberships. So they have corporate membership, they have regular membership, they have honorary membership, they have something called passport membership, which I've never heard of before. But this is why I think it's so important to not just be creative and innovative and brave. It's also very important to be connected and to ask these kinds of questions and to not reinvent the wheel like we had to, like we did. Just there's so much out there, not just in our district, but across the districts, in our zones. Connecting with other Rotarians. Well, I mean, our theme this year is Rotary Connects the World, and I think that is absolutely 100% true. And we could learn so much about Rotarians from all parts of the world. So one thing that I never thought of. Here in the United States, we always associate Rotaract clubs with higher ed institutions, and that's not the case anywhere else in the world. They have so many community Rotaracts. So now we're starting a community Rotaract as well because we heard about that. So, I think just be informed, be connected, and then be creative and brave.
Well, I can't think of a better way to wrap up this segment than those strong words of advice. And I appreciate you taking the time to share. And I think your point there near the end was really, really spot on, is that we need to continue to communicate out what we're doing, what's winning, what's working. We all love our Rotary and we're passionate about it. And, we don't want to see our clubs go away. We want to see them grow and help our communities. And I think that what you said there at the end was spot on, is getting the message out there so we can all share and pick the pieces that work best for our club and our community can really help turn that membership tide around.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. And, doing things like what you are doing right now and talking to different Rotarians and then spreading that message is what it's all about. So we definitely need to, like you said, turn that tide around, because Rotary is so valuable too. this world. It's just so beneficial. So we cannot, we don't have any other option. This is where we have our option. We have to grow.
Absolutely. Well, Sue, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Best of luck to you, and I'm sure we will talk to you soon.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks so much, Andy.